Tyrell was the kind of guy who owned the gym without paying rent. Loud, ripped, cocky, the kind of presence that sucked the oxygen out of the room. Every lift came with a yell, every sparring match with an audience. He filmed everything, posted it online, and fed off the clout. Then he walked in. A pale, quiet guy, mid-30s, shorter than average, wiry, with tired eyes and a busted-up ear. He kept to himself. No selfies, no noise, just methodical reps in the corner like he was chasing something only he could see. Tyrell couldn't stand it. He called him Snowflake, started heckling him during sets, pushed him in the locker room, laughed in his face. And when the cameras were rolling, he threw out a challenge, a mock fight just for laughs, just for clicks. The quiet guy just nodded. Later that night, the cage locked. The room went silent. And Tyrell realized something chilling. He wasn't fighting some random white boy. He was locked in with Conor, and the game was already over. They thought it would go like it always had. But this time, they picked the wrong one. Who do you think was more dangerous, the one yelling or the one watching in silence? Ever seen someone flip the script without saying a word? Tell your story in the comments. What would you have done if that was your brother in the cage? And where are you watching from? Represent your city below. The Southside Iron Pit was not a pretty gym. No neon lights. No corporate logo. Just sweat-stained mats, iron plates that clanged like war drums, and a faint smell of rubber and old ambition. The kind of place where real fighters trained, or people who wanted to look like they did. There were two types of men in this gym. Those who came to build something, strength, discipline, a name, and those who came to prove something. Tyrell? He was the second type. Tyrell Woods, 24, had been lifting at Southside for 3 years. Big dude, wide chest, aggressive fade, gold chain always glinting under fluorescent lights. He had a laugh that cut through music and a habit of lifting until he shook, then screaming like he'd just discovered gravity. He didn't just work out, he performed. "Let's go, King," his crew would yell, phones out, filming every rep. Tyrell had 87,000 followers on TikTok, mostly from gym clips and motivational roasts. He wasn't evil, just loud, insecure, sure, but no one said it out loud. Not when he could bench more than anyone and didn't think twice about calling out a grown man mid-set. "Yo, my grandma curls more than that, fam," he'd laugh. Or, "You done with this mirror, weak ass?" Coach Ray, the quiet owner and ex-Muay Thai fighter, tolerated him because Tyrell paid on time. But he knew guys like Tyrell didn't last forever. They either humbled themselves or got humbled. Then, in early March, Conor walked in. No fanfare, no crew, no eye contact. 5 feet 9 inches, maybe 160. Slim but dense. You could tell by the way his hoodie hung. His traps pulled the fabric without trying. His knuckles were marked, not bruised, but worn, like they'd seen more than just bags. He signed the waiver, nodded at Ray, and went straight to the back corner of the gym. No music, no phone, no warm-up selfies. He moved like someone who'd been through something, not just physically trained, battle-trained. His footwork was tight, instinctive. His jabs were sharp, thrown at half speed, but landed like he'd measured every inch of air. The bag swayed just enough. Not too much, just right. Ray stood in the office, arms crossed, watching him. "New guy got that look," one of the older guys said. "What look?" "The kind that don't ask questions, 'cause they already know the answers." For 2 weeks, Conor said almost nothing. Came in at 6 a.m. sharp. Trained for 90 minutes. Left. Always alone. Always in the same hoodie. Always clean. Always deliberate. Tyrell noticed, of course. You couldn't exist in Tyrell's universe and not be noticed, especially if you didn't acknowledge him. "Yo, who's Mr. Monk over there?" he asked on day 3. "Dude, don't even listen to music. What is this, 1950? Nah, for real. Who trains like that and don't post nothing?" His boys laughed, but Tyrell was irritated. He tried small provocations, bumped into Conor at the water fountain, got on the bag next to him and hit it way too hard. Nothing. Not even a glance. On day 10, it got under his skin. "Yo," Tyrell called out across the gym, loud enough to turn heads. "You don't talk?" Or you just scared someone might talk back? Silence. Conor finished his round, stepped back, wrapped his hands tighter, and moved to the speed bag. Like Tyrell didn't exist. That made it worse. Man, who does this guy think he is? Tyrell muttered. Like he better than everybody? But the truth was, no one knew who Conor was. Not really. Some thought he was ex-military. Others whispered he might have done time. A few guessed pro fighter, maybe retired, maybe fallen. One guy swore he saw him fight in Europe years ago, said his name sounded Irish. But nobody could confirm anything. The only person who might have known was Ray. And he wasn't talking. One morning, Ray caught Conor's pad work. Clean. Surgical. You used to fight? Conor shrugged. Yeah, a little. Ray nodded slowly. He didn't push. You don't push wolves. You give them space. Tyrell, meanwhile, couldn't stand it. He needed to break this guy's cool. Not for the internet. Not even for laughs anymore. It became personal. Watch, he told his boys. Next week, I'm going to put him on TikTok. Real talk. The tension kept simmering. Not dramatic. Just small things. A look. A smirk. A comment too close. Then one day, Tyrell caught Conor shadowboxing in the cage, alone, early, lights off except for one. He pulled out his phone. Yo, get this, he whispered to his crew. Let's see what Mr. Quiet thinks about some real pressure. He hopped the edge of the cage. Yo, he said loud, since you love punching air so much, why not punch me instead? Conor stopped moving, looked at him for the first time, not angry, not scared, just measured. Tyrell tossed him gloves. Come on, light spar, just playing. Unless you scared. Conor picked up the gloves, didn't say a word, just nodded. The gym was mostly empty that morning. A few regulars, Coach Ray in his office, Tyrell's boys chilling on the benches with phones ready. Inside the cage, Conor stood across from Tyrell. Hands wrapped. No gloves. No mouthguard. Just calm. Light spar. Tyrell said again, trying to keep the edge out of his voice. No hard shots. I ain't trying to get sued. Conor nodded. Coach Ray looked over from his desk. His eyes narrowed. Bell rang. Tyrell moved first, bouncing, showboating, slapping his chest, making little feints. You sure you want to do this, old man? Conor didn't answer. He didn't blink. Then Tyrell lunged with a lazy jab. Not serious, more like a warning shot. Conor slipped it like he saw it a week ago. Tyrell tried again. Jab cross. Little harder. Conor didn't move this time. He let the jab brush past his cheek, then stepped in. In one smooth motion, he pivoted on his lead foot, ducked under Tyrell's shoulder, and tapped his ribs with a quick, tight hook. Not hard, just precise. Tyrell stumbled back. It wasn't power. It was timing. And everyone watching could feel it. This wasn't a gym beef anymore. This was a man teaching a lesson. Damn, someone whispered. Tyrell laughed, trying to brush it off. Okay, you slick. But inside, he felt it. That sting. That thing he hadn't felt since middle school, someone being better. Effortlessly better. Round ended. Tyrell yanked off his gloves. Nah, I ain't warmed up yet. Run that back next week. For real. Conor just nodded again. No smile. No flex. Just gone. Outside the cage, Tyrell's boys were quiet. Not mocking him. Not hyping him. Just scrolling. He hated that more than the punch. He followed Conor to the locker room later. Ayo, you trying to embarrass me or what? Conor looked up from tying his shoes. If that's what it felt like, maybe ask why. Then he left. That line stuck. Not because it was deep, but because it was clean. Like Conor didn't even need to curse to cut deep. The next few days, Tyrell tried to reclaim his throne. Louder sets. Bigger weights. Posted a story calling Conor Silent Steve and mocked him doing yoga stretches. Some of y'all need to fight the bag, not your feelings. But it didn't hit like before. Even his followers started asking, who's the quiet guy though? Why you always messing with him? Post the sparring vid-eyes. Tyrell didn't post it. Couldn't. Then came the personal loss. Coach Ray canceled Tyrell's private time slot in the cage. Why? Tyrell asked. Ray didn't even look up. Because it's not yours. and respect's earned, not shouted. That hit harder than a punch. No cage time equals no content. No content equals no clout. No clout equals no stage. He stormed out that night, furious, embarrassed, but underneath it all, afraid. Because for the first time since he started lifting, the room didn't orbit around him anymore. That night, Tyrell sat alone in his car, gym bag on the passenger seat, looking at his own reflection in the windshield. Who was that guy? The loud one? Or the one who flinched in silence when real power stood in front of him? His ego screamed one answer, but deep down he knew. That cage didn't just show who he was. It showed what he wasn't. And next time, he wouldn't get off so easy. Tyrell didn't sleep that night. He stayed up scrolling through his own Instagram, looking at the videos, the hype, the comments, the way people used to gas him up. He watched one clip from 3 months ago, him deadlifting 4 plates, shirt off, flexing, yelling, "Nobody outworks me." That Tyrell looked untouchable. Now, he couldn't even hold the room's attention for a minute. Couldn't even make Conor flinch. The cage spar still played in his head. That tap to the ribs. That footwork. That calm. And worst of all, the silence from his boys. They weren't posting clips anymore, just tagging Conor's corner of the gym in memes. Tyrell was slowly becoming a side character in the gym he used to dominate. The next morning, Tyrell walked in louder than ever. "Let's go. Chest day." "No excuses," he shouted, slapping plates onto the bar. He bench pressed with fury, way too fast, too sloppy. Ray didn't even look up. Conor, of course, was in his corner, skipping rope like the rest of the room didn't exist. But Tyrell had a new plan. He wasn't going to spar. He was going to expose. He set his phone up low, behind the speed bags, angle aimed at Conor. He started talking near him, not to him. "Some people train quiet, 'cause they ain't got *T to say," he said loudly, punching the bag. "Used to be someone. Now they just ghosts." Conor didn't react. Again, Tyrell pushed more. "Yo, tell me something, man. You ever fight for real? Or you just one of them YouTube martial arts guys? Bet you been in one bar fight and thought you was Bruce Lee." Finally, Conor stopped, gloved hand resting against the bag. He turned his head slowly. "Do you need me to say something so you don't drown in your own noise?" Tyrell blinked. Conor walked off, leaving the gloves hanging. Ray watched from behind the front desk. That moment, small as it seemed, was a crack in Tyrell's armor. And the whole gym felt it. That night, Tyrell called his cousin Dre, a guy who used to box amateur. "Yo, I need you to find out who this Conor dude is," Tyrell said. "He Irish?" Dre asked. "Yeah." "Cauliflower ear?" "Yeah." *T. You might want to sit down. By the next day, Tyrell knew the truth. Conor O'Rourke, former UFC featherweight. Debut knockout went viral 5 years ago. 3 fights, 2 wins, 1 brutal loss that shattered his orbital bone. Disappeared after that. Went dark. No Instagram. No interviews. Just silence. Ray knew. The whole time. Tyrell felt like the floor had shifted under him. This wasn't just some quiet guy. This was a killer who'd lived through something Tyrell only mimed in TikToks. Suddenly, all his taunts, the jokes, the bump, the fake sparring match, felt like walking through a minefield wearing tap shoes. Still, Tyrell couldn't stop. Because by now it wasn't about pride. It was about control. If he let this slide, he'd never get it back. So he doubled down. Started a story series, The Ghost of Southside, mocked Conor's silence. Made up stories about Conor getting choked out by teenagers. Guy been shadowboxing for 3 weeks straight. Probably forgot how to hit something that moves. He even put up a poll. Should I call out Mr. Quiet to a real match? White heavy checkmark, do it. Crossmark, nah, you'll get folded. The vote was 73% yes. He DM'd Ray the next morning. Put me in. I want a real match. 3 rounds. Cage. Gym rules. Ray left it on read. But 2 hours later, he posted a sign-up sheet for Saturday night spars. Tyrell's name was at the top. Under it, Conor O. Word spread fast. People who hadn't shown up in weeks were now asking what time it was happening. Ray told everyone, close cage, members only, no live streaming. That made it worse, because now Tyrell couldn't play it for the crowd. He'd have to show up, with nothing to hide behind. The night before the match, Tyrell stood alone in the cage. Lights dim. Mat cold. He shadowboxed for a bit, but stopped. Something didn't feel right. He sat in the center, looked around. The silence crept in like fog. He pictured Conor, the way he moved, the way he waited, like a predator who'd already eaten once that day. Tyrell's fists tightened. He couldn't quit now. But for the first time, he wasn't sure winning was even on the table. Saturday. The gym was different. Not louder, quieter, like it knew something was about to happen. Southside Iron Pit had seen fights before. Real ones. Blood, bones, respect. But tonight wasn't about belts or points. It was about power. About silence. About ego, fear, and reckoning. Coach Ray taped the cage shut at 7 p.m. sharp. The main lights dimmed. Just one spotlight above the octagon. Enough to cast shadows. Tyrell arrived alone. No entourage. No crew. Not even Dre. He wore his best fight gear. Compression shirt, bright shorts, gloves with his name stitched in gold. But the look in his eyes wasn't confidence. It was something murkier. Something that didn't want to admit it was afraid. Conor was already inside. Black trunks. No shirt. Hands already wrapped. Sitting cross-legged, eyes closed. Meditating. Tyrell stepped in. The cage door clanked shut behind him. Ray stood between them. No headshots above 60%. No knees. No elbows. You tap, you talk, we stop. That clear? Both men nodded. The bell rang. Round 1. Tyrell came out fast, throwing jabs, feints, trying to look busy, trying to look like he wasn't overthinking every step. He threw a looping overhand. Conor didn't even move. Just leaned back and let it pass. Then pop. A straight left. Not full force. Just enough to rattle Tyrell's skull. Tyrell blinked. Round ended. Tyrell yanked off his gloves. Nah, I ain't warmed up yet. Run that back next week. For real. Conor just nodded again. No smile. No flex. Just gone. Outside the cage, Tyrell's boys were quiet. Not mocking him. Not hyping him. Just scrolling. He hated that more than the punch. He followed Conor to the locker room later. Ayo, you trying to embarrass me or what? Conor looked up from tying his shoes. If that's what it felt like, maybe ask why. Then he left. That line stuck. Not because it was deep, but because it was clean. Like Conor didn't even need to curse to cut deep. The next few days, Tyrell tried to reclaim his throne. Louder sets. Bigger weights. Posted a story calling Conor Silent Steve and mocked him doing yoga stretches. Some of y'all need to fight the bag, not your feelings. But it didn't hit like before. Even his followers started asking, who's the quiet guy though? Why you always messing with him? Post the sparring vid-eyes. Tyrell didn't post it. Couldn't. Then came the personal loss. Coach Ray canceled Tyrell's private time slot in the cage. Why? Tyrell asked. Ray didn't even look up. Because it's not yours. And respect's earned. Not shouted. That hit harder than a punch. No cage time equals no content. No content equals no clout. No clout equals no stage. He stormed out that night. Furious. Embarrassed. But underneath it all, afraid. Because for the first time since he started lifting, the room didn't orbit around him anymore. That night, Tyrell sat alone in his car, gym bag on the passenger seat, looking at his own reflection in the windshield. Who was that guy? The loud one? Or the one who flinched in silence when real power stood in front of him? His ego screamed one answer. But deep down he knew. That cage didn't just show who he was. It showed what he wasn't. And next time, he wouldn't get off so easy. Tyrell didn't sleep that night. He stayed up scrolling through his own Instagram, looking at the videos, the hype, the comments, the way people used to gas him up. He watched one clip from 3 months ago, him deadlifting 4 plates, shirt off, flexing, yelling, "Nobody outworks me." That Tyrell looked untouchable. Now, he couldn't even hold the room's attention for a minute. Couldn't even make Conor flinch. The cage spar still played in his head. That tap to the ribs. That footwork. That calm. And worst of all, the silence from his boys. They weren't posting clips anymore. Just tagging Conor's corner of the gym in memes. Tyrell was slowly becoming a side character in the gym he used to dominate. The next morning, Tyrell walked in louder than ever. "Let's go. Chest day." "No excuses," he shouted, slapping plates onto the bar. He bench pressed with fury, way too fast, too sloppy. Ray didn't even look up. Conor, of course, was in his corner, skipping rope like the rest of the room didn't exist. But Tyrell had a new plan. He wasn't going to spar. He was going to expose. He set his phone up low, behind the speed bags, angle aimed at Conor. He started talking near him, not to him. "Some people train quiet, 'cause they ain't got *T to say," he said loudly, punching the bag. "Used to be someone. Now they just ghosts." Conor didn't react. Again, Tyrell pushed more. "Yo, tell me something, man. You ever fight for real? Or you just one of them YouTube martial arts guys? Bet you been in one bar fight and thought you was Bruce Lee." Finally, Conor stopped, gloved hand resting against the bag. He turned his head slowly. "Do you need me to say something so you don't drown in your own noise?" Tyrell blinked. Conor walked off, leaving the gloves hanging. Ray watched from behind the front desk. That moment, small as it seemed, was a crack in Tyrell's armor. And the whole gym felt it. That night, Tyrell called his cousin Dre, a guy who used to box amateur. "Yo, I need you to find out who this Conor dude is," Tyrell said. "He Irish?" Dre asked. "Yeah." "Cauliflower ear?" "Yeah." *T. "You might want to sit down." By the next day, Tyrell knew the truth. Conor O'Rourke, former UFC featherweight, debut knockout, went viral 5 years ago. 3 fights, 2 wins, 1 brutal loss that shattered his orbital bone. Disappeared after that. Went dark. No Instagram. No interviews. Just silence. Ray knew. The whole time. Tyrell felt like the floor had shifted under him. This wasn't just some quiet guy. This was a killer who'd lived through something Tyrell only mimed in TikToks. Suddenly, all his taunts, the jokes, the bump, the fake sparring match, felt like walking through a minefield wearing tap shoes. Still, Tyrell couldn't stop. Because by now it wasn't about pride. It was about control. If he let this slide, he'd never get it back. So he doubled down. Started a story series, The Ghost of Southside, mocked Conor's silence. Made up stories about Conor getting choked out by teenagers. Guy been shadowboxing for 3 weeks straight. Probably forgot how to hit something that moves. He even put up a poll. "Should I call out Mr. Quiet to a real match? White heavy checkmark, do it. Crossmark, nah, you'll get folded." The vote was 73% yes. He DM'd Ray the next morning. "Put me in. I want a real match. 3 rounds. Cage. Gym rules." Ray left it on read. But 2 hours later, he posted a sign-up sheet for Saturday night spars. Tyrell's name was at the top. Under it, Conor O. Word spread fast. People who hadn't shown up in weeks were now asking what time it was happening. Ray told everyone, "Close cage, members only, no live streaming." That made it worse. Because now, Tyrell couldn't play it for the crowd. He'd have to show up, with nothing to hide behind. The night before the match, Tyrell stood alone in the cage. Lights dim. Mat cold. He shadowboxed for a bit, but stopped. Something didn't feel right. He sat in the center, looked around. The silence crept in like fog. He pictured Conor, the way he moved, the way he waited, like a predator who'd already eaten once that day. Tyrell's fists tightened. He couldn't quit now. But for the first time, he wasn't sure winning was even on the table. Saturday. The gym was different. Not louder, quieter. Like it knew something was about to happen. Southside, Iron Pit had seen fights before. Real ones. Blood, bones, respect. But tonight wasn't about belts or points. It was about power. About silence. About ego, fear, and reckoning. Coach Ray taped the cage shut at 7 p.m. sharp. The main lights dimmed. Just one spotlight above the octagon. Enough to cast shadows. Tyrell arrived alone. No entourage. No crew. Not even Dre. He wore his best fight gear. Compression shirt, bright shorts, gloves with his name stitched in gold. But the look in his eyes wasn't confidence. It was something murkier. Something that didn't want to admit it was afraid. Conor was already inside. Black trunks. No shirt. Hands already wrapped. Sitting cross-legged, eyes closed. Meditating. Tyrell stepped in. The cage door clanked shut behind him. Ray stood between them. No headshots above 60%. No knees. No elbows. You tap, you talk, we stop. That clear? Both men nodded. The bell rang. Round 1. Tyrell came out fast, throwing jabs, feints, trying to look busy, trying to look like he wasn't overthinking every step. He threw a looping overhand. Conor didn't even move, just leaned back and let it pass. Then pop, a straight left, not full force, just enough to rattle Tyrell's skull. Tyrell blinked. Another one, quicker, right on the nose. The crowd winced, not from violence, but from how effortless it looked. Like Conor wasn't fighting a man, just correcting bad posture. Tyrell rushed in, clinched, grabbed, tried to muscle him. Conor slipped to the side, hooked Tyrell's leg, and swept him hard. Boom. Flat on his back. Gasps from the crowd. Ray jumped in. Reset. Tyrell got up, face red. Not from pain, from shame. Round ends. Bell rings. Tyrell didn't go to his corner. Just paced. Round 2. Conor walked forward this time. Measured. Calm. Tyrell threw a hook. Too wide. Conor ducked under and landed a liver shot that echoed through the cage like a drum. Tyrell's legs buckled. He dropped to a knee, gasping. Ray stepped in. You good? Tyrell nodded, barely. He stood back up, guard shaky, breathing hard. Conor didn't chase. He waited. He watched. And in that silence, Tyrell heard something terrifying. His own doubt. Not the crowd. Not the cameras. Just the question, why am I even in here? He wasn't fighting for respect. He was fighting because he couldn't back out. Not without losing the last piece of whatever image he'd built. The bell rang again. Back in the locker room between rounds, Tyrell sat slumped on the bench. His knuckles were scraped. His lungs were burning. But none of it hurt more than what was inside. He stared into the mirror. The man looking back wasn't a fighter. He didn't even look like a man who wanted to fight. He looked like a boy who'd built his identity on attention and now had none. The silence hurt more than the shots. The quiet between Conor's punches was deafening. Round 3. They touched gloves this time. Conor's eyes didn't carry hate, just recognition. Like he'd seen men like Tyrell before, knew what this was. Tyrell tried to circle, throw light kicks, anything to slow the pace. But Conor wasn't rushing. He was breaking him down. Slowly, calmly, mercilessly. Midway through the round, Conor shot low, wrapped Tyrell's legs, and took him down hard. The cage rattled. Tyrell tried to scramble, but it was like grappling with smoke. Conor slid to mount. High pressure. Tight. He didn't ground and pound. He didn't need to. Tyrell tapped. Just once. Soft. Ray stepped in. It's over. Conor got up. Offered a hand. Tyrell stared at it. Hesitated. Then took it. The crowd didn't cheer. No yelling. No booing. Just silence. Respect. The kind Tyrell had never experienced before, and never earned the way he thought he would. He sat in the corner of the cage for a long time after Conor left, breathing, processing, holding the silence in his chest like a stone. That night there were no posts, no story, no TikTok, just a still shot someone else took, of Tyrell sitting cross-legged under the cage lights, alone, humbled. That was the night everything broke. But sometimes, when something breaks, it's the only way to rebuild it right. The gym was closed on Sundays, officially. But for people like Tyrell, who couldn't sleep, couldn't breathe right since that night, the Iron Pit was still a place to sit with his thoughts. He had keys. Ray trusted him. Maybe not because he deserved it, but because Ray understood something deeper. Sometimes a man needed a cage without a fight. The mat still smelled like last night's sweat and adrenaline. The lights were dim. The punching bags hung motionless. And Tyrell sat there, hoodie pulled tight, elbows on knees, staring at the mat like it had answers. His phone was off. His crew hadn't messaged him since the fight. The silence that used to scare him was now familiar, and somewhere deep in that stillness, he felt something he'd never felt before. Peace, not comfort, not relief, just the absence of noise. Hours passed. It wasn't until late afternoon that the gym door opened again. Conor. Same hoodie. Same black bag. No expression. He nodded at Tyrell as he walked in. No tension, no avoidance. Just presence. Tyrell stood. Yo. He started, voice cracking slightly. You got a minute? Conor set his bag down. Nodded once. They didn't sit in the cage this time. Just on a mat. Facing each other. Legs crossed. No gloves. No pretense. I need to ask you something, Tyrell said, voice quiet. Conor waited. Why me? Conor blinked. Tyrell clarified. You could have wrecked me. Embarrassed me. I gave you every reason to. But you didn't. Why? Conor looked him dead in the eyes, not cold, not kind, just honest. Because that's what you were expecting. That answer sat between them like a mirror. You thought you needed punishment, Conor continued, but what you needed was perspective. Tyrell swallowed hard. His throat felt dry. You knew I was all talk, huh? No, Conor said. I knew you were trying not to disappear. That hit like a body shot. I've seen guys like you before, Conor added. Loud outside because they're crumbling inside. You weren't fighting me. You were begging to be seen. Tyrell looked down. You ever feel like, if people stop looking, you stop existing? Yeah, Conor said. No hesitation. For a long time. That surprised Tyrell. You? Man, you're a killer. Silent assassin. What would you know about feeling invisible? Conor exhaled. You know why I stopped fighting? Tyrell shook his head. I lost, Conor said simply. Not just the fight. I lost something deeper. He paused, looking up at the cage ceiling like it held a memory. My last match, I went in too cocky. Thought I couldn't be touched. I'd won fast before knockouts, clean. But this guy, he was patient. Didn't rush. Just waited. Same as I did to you. Tyrell leaned in. I threw a right hook. He slipped under, launched an elbow, and shattered my orbital. I couldn't see out of my right eye for 3 months. *T. Tyrell muttered. I was 29. Prime. Doctors said I might not fight again. Sponsors pulled. Media moved on. Overnight, I went from next big thing to ghost. And you just quit. Conor looked at him. No, I disappeared. He said it like it was both a confession and a survival strategy. Moved out here. Took a job bouncing at a club. Started training quietly. No cameras. No interviews. I wasn't running from fighting. I was running from the version of me that thought fighting was the only thing that made me matter. Silence again. But why come back now? Tyrell asked. Conor half smiled. You. Tyrell blinked. Me. You reminded me what I used to be, loud, hungry, scared. You made me realize something. The world doesn't need more fighters trying to prove something. It needs fighters willing to teach something. Tyrell's eyes stung, but he didn't look away. So, what did you teach me? Conor shrugged lightly. That control isn't about power. It's about presence. You walked in every day trying to own the gym. But the second someone didn't give you attention, you broke. Tyrell nodded, slowly. You ain't wrong. They sat in silence again. But this time, it wasn't awkward. It was mutual respect. Ray told me your name, Tyrell said. Conor O'Rourke. Why keep it quiet? Conor smiled faintly. Because I wasn't here to be famous. I was here to be whole. Tyrell let out a quiet laugh. Not mocking, just amazed. You ever think about fighting again? Like real comeback? Conor looked away for a second, then said, maybe, but only if I have something worth fighting for. Not just against. When Conor left, he clapped Tyrell on the shoulder. Gonna hurt tomorrow, he said. It already does. Tyrell replied. They both smiled. That night, Tyrell went live. No music, no flexing. Just him sitting on a bench in the gym. Yo, he said, some of y'all came here to see drama. Some of y'all came here to see a fight. But what you should have been watching was a man finding out who the hell he really is. He looked into the camera. And I ain't talking about him. I'm talking about me. He paused. This ain't about taking L's. This is about learning to listen, to shut the F*** up and let someone better than you show you the truth. He ended the live without saying goodbye. The comments were split. Some called him soft. Some called it real. But for the first time in his life, Tyrell didn't care. Monday morning, the Iron Pit opened at 5 a.m. like usual. The air was the same, sweat, rubber, metal. But something was different. Not visible. Not loud. Just present. Like someone had turned down the volume of the whole place by a few notches. No one said it out loud, but everyone knew. Tyrell lost, but more importantly, Tyrell changed. He walked in quietly. No phone out. No crew. His hoodie was up, but not in that I'm hiding kind of way. More like he was just focused, grounded. People noticed. Some gave nods. Some gave space. A few whispered. He didn't respond. Didn't need to. The man who used to fill the room with sound now let silence do the work. Coach Ray was at the counter, going through client files. He looked up. Tyrell walked over. No words. Just held out his hand. Ray shook it. No smile. No lecture. Just mutual acknowledgement. Ray slid him a folded paper. New cage times. Tuesday night. 6 o'clock. Clean spar. Quiet spar. Tyrell nodded. Appreciate you. Later, by the squat rack, someone approached Tyrell. Darren, mid-30s, soft-spoken regular who'd been bullied once by Tyrell a year ago. Back then, Tyrell called him Dad Bod Deluxe in front of half the gym. Now, Darren just looked at him and said, Hey, that video you posted. The live it hit. Respect. Tyrell didn't flinch. Didn't dodge. I was a clown, man, he said. Took me too long to realize the mirror ain't the only place you see yourself. Darren gave him a fist bump. Walked off. At the back of the gym, Conor was hitting pads. Alone. As always. But people started watching differently. Not gawking. Just paying attention. Every jab, every pivot, every break between movements. The discipline, the control. It wasn't flashy. It was earned. Even the young guys, the ones who used to watch Tyrell, like a local hero, began stealing glances at Conor, mimicking his form, pacing like him, throwing shadow combinations like they were tracing someone else's ghost. By Wednesday, word had spread beyond the gym. Clips from Tyrell's live started surfacing. Not the fight itself. Ray kept that private, but the message. Sometimes the L ain't a loss. It's a learn. You don't gotta scream to be heard. Real recognizes real. One clip hit 100,000 views in 2 days. Another got shared by a retired UFC lightweight who commented, There's something real about a man who gets humbled, owns it, and comes back smarter. But while the internet buzzed, Conor stayed offline. He didn't ride the wave, didn't cash in, didn't do podcasts or interviews. When a local MMA gym offered him a coaching slot, he turned it down politely. I'm not here to teach classes, he said. I'm here to sharpen my own blade. But privately he started working one-on-one with a few regulars quietly for free. No cameras, no titles, just old-school mentorship. Back at the gym, a shift was happening. The boys who used to record everything, they started training for real. Less content, more contact. Less ego, more form. You could see it in the way they hit pads, in the way they didn't laugh so loud anymore. Because now they had a model that wasn't about noise, it was about weight. Not physical, but presence. Friday evening, Tyrell sat in the corner of the cage, not fighting, just watching. Conor was rolling with a younger kid. Marcus, 19, wild energy, fast hands, but reckless footwork. Conor stopped mid-roll. Breathe, he said. You're chasing ghosts. Anchor yourself. The kid nodded, adjusted. Tyrell smiled. He understood it now. That night, Coach Ray walked up to Tyrell by the lockers. "You still want that rematch?" he asked. Tyrell thought for a long second. "Nah," he said. "I already got what I came for." Ray smirked. "Growth looks good on you." On his way out, Tyrell glanced back at the cage. Conor was alone again, skipping rope. Not for show, not for war. Just rhythm, just focus, just being. Tyrell watched for a second longer, then stepped outside into the night. He didn't blast music in his car, didn't call anyone, didn't check notifications. He just sat for a minute, let the quiet wrap around him. And for once, he didn't need anyone to know he was here. He knew it. That was enough. It started with the towels. 2 weeks had passed since the fight. Tyrell still came in every morning, stayed late, cleaned up after himself. Didn't ask for credit, didn't post stories, just trained. One afternoon as he finished his set, he noticed a clean towel folded neatly on his bench. No one said a word. No one looked his way. But someone had done it, quietly. It wasn't a big gesture, but it was the first unspoken sign. "We see you, and we respect the work." That same day, Coach Ray called him into the office. Tyrell walked in, a little nervous, the old habit of expecting punishment still lingering in his gut. Ray handed him a clipboard, new sign-up sheet, small group sparring, Wednesday evenings. Ray tapped the last name on the list. "Marcus," he said, "wants you to corner him." Tyrell blinked. "Me?" Ray nodded. "You've earned it." Tyrell swallowed hard. He wanted to say something deep, something profound. But instead, all that came out was, "I won't let him down." Ray just smiled. "Don't let yourself down either." That Wednesday, Tyrell stood outside the cage, not as a fighter, not as the main character, but as support. Marcus was inside, nervously bouncing on his toes, mouthguard clenched, breathing shaky. Tyrell leaned in before the round started. "Don't fight like me," he said. "Fight like you." Marcus nodded. Bell rang. 3 rounds. Gritty. Messy. But Marcus held his own. After the match, he ran to Tyrell like a little brother. "Did you see that last hook?" he grinned. Tyrell nodded. "Didn't need to. I saw your footwork. That's what won it." That was the first time Tyrell saw his own words matter. Not for clout, not for comments, but for someone else's growth. Meanwhile, Conor had his own moment. It came quietly, like everything else about him. He was leaving the gym one evening when he passed by an older man in a neck brace, sitting by the door, waiting for his daughter. The man looked up, studied Conor, then said, "You're him, aren't you?" Conor paused. "Who?" "The one who fought that loud kid. The one who didn't say a damn word, but made every move mean something." Conor said nothing. The man nodded. "World needs more like you. Not to win fights, to remind the rest of us what stillness can look like." Conor gave a small nod. "Thank you." Then walked off into the dark. That was enough. The next week, something unexpected happened. Tyrell came into the gym early, like usual, but that day Sarah was there. She was a quiet woman, worked the front desk. Most people ignored her. But a year ago, Tyrell had snapped at her in front of a crowd when she forgot to hold his cage slot. Back then, he called her useless. He never apologized. That morning, she handed him a new key fob, updated access hours. Their hands touched briefly. "You've changed," she said. Tyrell looked at her. Honest. Raw. "I was an asshole. I'm sorry." She nodded. Then softly, "I know." That one word, "no," felt heavier than any punch he'd taken. Because forgiveness doesn't come when you want it. It comes when you've earned it. That evening, Tyrell walked past the cage and saw someone new. A young woman, maybe 20, clearly nervous. Skinny arms, unsure stance. No one offered to help. Tyrell did. Showed her a few basics. No cameras. No flexing. Just instruction. Gentle correction. Encouragement. Coach Ray watched from the side. Silent, smiling. Afterward, Conor approached Tyrell at the water station. "You good with people," he said. Tyrell wiped sweat from his forehead. "Never thought I'd hear you say that. I don't say things I don't mean." Tyrell hesitated. "You ever think you'd be back here? Teaching? Guiding people?" Conor looked out across the gym. I never left, he said. I just stopped being visible. Then added, and maybe that's what people like us need to learn. You don't have to be seen to make an impact. Tyrell nodded. That line would stay with him. That night, as he left, someone had written on the whiteboard near the gym exit, the one usually filled with jokes and protein shake recipes. But this time it said, "It's not how you fall. It's who you listen to when you land." No one signed it, but Tyrell didn't need to know who did. He just smiled, and for the first time in a long time, he walked out feeling like a man worth listening to. The air smelled of chalk and vinyl. Another Tuesday at Southside Iron Pit. Nothing flashy, nothing new, but something was different. Tyrell had started showing up earlier than usual, not to lift heavier, not to be seen, but to watch. He noticed things now. The way people hesitated near the cage, the quiet ones who came to train but never stepped inside, the ones like he used to be, desperate to be seen but terrified to be known. That afternoon he spotted a kid, maybe 15 max, skinny, nervous, hoodie too big, sleeves swallowed his hands. He was pacing near the heavy bags, eyes locked on the cage like it was a stage he didn't feel worthy of. Tyrell walked over slow. "You trained before?" he asked. The kid flinched, looked up. "No," he muttered. "Just watch a lot of UFC." Tyrell smiled. "That's how I started." He pointed to the bag. "You want to hit that?" The kid nodded. Tyrell held it steady. First punch, too soft. Second, wild and off balance. Third, better. By the fifth, the kid was breathing different. Shoulders back. Stance adjusted. Tyrell said nothing. Just held the bag. Nodded once. The kid looked up. "You fight here?" "Used to," Tyrell said. "Now, I help people not make the same mistakes I did." The kid didn't ask what those mistakes were. He didn't need to. Over the next week, the kid came back. Name was Malik. Didn't talk much. Still wore the oversized hoodie. But he showed up. Every time. Tyrell started teaching him basic combos, footwork, breathing. Not because anyone told him to, not because it would go viral, but because someone once did the same for him, without expecting applause. Meanwhile, Conor watched from a distance. He never said much. But one night, after Malik finished a bag session, Conor approached Tyrell. "Kid's got fire," he said. Tyrell nodded. "He's raw." "Like you were." Tyrell grinned. "I had fire, yeah, but I kept burning my own house down." Conor looked at him for a long second. "You're building now," he said. That was all, and that was enough. One rainy Thursday, Malik came in early, soaked but smiling. "Can we try the cage today?" he asked. Tyrell hesitated, not because he doubted Malik, but because he remembered what it felt like to step into that space too soon, unprepared, exposed. He looked Malik in the eyes. "You sure?" Malik nodded. Tyrell called Coach Ray. 10 minutes. Just light drills. Ray raised an eyebrow. "You coaching now?" Tyrell shrugged. "Trying." Ray unlocked the cage. Inside, Tyrell showed Malik the same moves Conor once used on him. Pivot step, weight transfer, body shots without power, but with precision. They move slow, clean, focused, no crowd, just learning. Afterwards, as Malik sat catching his breath, he looked up and said, "You think I'll ever be good?" Tyrell crouched beside him. "Being good's not about how you fight in here," he said, tapping the mat. "It's about how you walk out." Malik blinked. "That's what someone once told me," Tyrell added. That night, as the gym emptied, Tyrell stayed back. He walked the perimeter of the cage, touched the padding, stared at the middle. Then he stepped in. Alone. No gloves. No lights. Just silence. He stood in the center for a minute, closed his eyes, and whispered thank you. To the pain. To the lesson. To the man who taught without shouting. On the way out, he passed Conor in the hallway. They didn't speak, but Conor gave a short nod, and Tyrell nodded back. The kind of nod that says, "I get now, and I'll carry it forward." The change wasn't explosive. There were no banners, no dramatic speeches, no gym reform movement. It started small, like most real changes do, but it stuck. Because the two loudest presences at Southside Iron Pit, one by volume, one by silence, had created a new standard. And people felt it. The gym floor felt different. The music still blasted, the iron still clanged, but there was less posturing. Guys still filmed lifts, but they weren't mocking others in the background. The clout lifters either stepped up their game or faded out on their own. Ray started noticing it most in the younger crowd. One evening, a teen named Javier got pinned during a spar. 2 months ago, his friends would have laughed, posted it with a funny caption. Now, they helped him up. No camera, no jokes, just a pat on the back, a few tips, and another round. It wasn't just respect, it was responsibility. The quiet crew started growing. People who used to train alone, the odd ones, the overlooked ones, began gravitating toward Conor and Tyrell's corner. They didn't ask for lessons. They just watched, tried to copy the footwork, tried to stay focused longer, tried to breathe between sets like Conor did, calm, rhythmic, contained. It wasn't a class. It was contagious discipline. And eventually, people started calling that area the quiet end. Not as a joke, as a compliment. Online, Tyrell's name began to shift. He didn't post often. When he did, it was short, raw, and honest. Clips of Malik hitting the bag. A still photo of the cage with a caption, "You don't have to win to walk out stronger." His DMs filled with messages from strangers. "Bro, I used to be the loud one too. Thank you for this. I quit my gym because of dudes like you, but I think I'll give it another shot. My little brother watched your story and asked if I could teach him how to breathe through a punch." He replied to some, not all, not because he didn't care, but because he finally understood that impact doesn't come from attention, it comes from intention. The culture inside the cage shifted too. People no longer saw it as just a place to prove who's tougher. It became something else, a test of who was ready to listen. Coach Ray even started a new rule, quietly, no phones at sparring. At first, people complained, but then they felt it. The focus sharpened, the ego softened, and, more importantly, people started learning again. Not just how to strike, but how to stay standing when someone better than you knocks you off balance, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. One night, Tyrell stayed after hours to wipe down the mats. He saw Conor coaching a newcomer in the corner, a girl no older than 16. Nervous, awkward, but determined. Conor was patient. No hype, no praise, just subtle adjustments and eye contact. When the girl landed her first proper jab cross, she smiled. Not big, not loud, but real. Tyrell watched from a distance, and he realized this is what legacy looks like. Not a banner with your name on it, but a chain of people who found their strength, because you stopped needing to prove yours. Outside the gym, the ripple reached further. A small local news blog wrote an article titled, "The Gym That Changed the Way We Fight." No mention of names, just a story about two fighters, one who used to shout, one who chose silence, and how their collision reset the culture. The piece was shared hundreds of times. People who never set foot in Iron Pit started talking about gym culture, bullying, emotional ego. It started a conversation. That's all Tyrell ever wanted now. Not followers, not fans, just real talk, real change. One afternoon, while Tyrell was refilling the water cooler, a boy tapped him on the shoulder. "Hey, you the guy from a story?" Tyrell turned. "I guess so." The kid nodded, held out a glove. "Thanks." Tyrell bumped it, didn't say a word. Because the look in that kid's eyes, that was louder than any applause. It had been 3 months since the fight. Life at Southside Iron Pit had moved on. New members came in. Old faces showed up more consistently. The vibe stayed solid, focused, clean, humble. Tyrell was part of the furniture now, not the star of the room. And for once, that was exactly what he wanted. He still lifted, still trained, but now he also noticed who came in quiet, who struggled with form, who hesitated before stepping on the mat. He helped, but not like a coach, more like a mirror, someone who reminded you that growth didn't have to be loud to be real. One day, Conor didn't show up. No message, no call, not like him. Ray texted. No response. Another day passed. Then another. On the fourth day, a letter arrived. Handwritten. Folded twice. Ray read it first. Then called Tyrell into the office. He handed him the note. Tyrell read it slowly. Ray, I'm heading out. Time to go back. Not to fight, but to finish the part 1 left open. The part 1 was running from. Thank you for the quiet. Tell Tyrell he knows what to do now. See, Tyrell stared at the last line. He knows what to do now. That evening, Tyrell walked into the gym early. He didn't warm up, didn't train. He walked to the cage, sat down, legs crossed, same spot Conor used to take. He closed his eyes, breathed in, held it, and for the first time since this whole story began, there was no need to be anything but still. 15 minutes passed. Then a voice broke the silence. You're Tyrell, right? He opened his eyes. A boy, maybe 14, 15, stood outside the cage, baggy hoodie, nervous energy, trying to act confident. Yeah, Tyrell said. The kid stepped closer. My brother said you used to be the loudest dude in here. Said you got beat bad. Tyrell grinned. That's one way to put it. The kid shrugged. So, why you still come back? Tyrell looked at him, then answered slowly. Because the cage didn't break me. It showed me. Showed you what? That I had more to give when I stopped trying to take. The kid nodded like he only half understood. But that was okay. He didn't need the full lesson now. He just needed someone to hold space for it. Tyrell stood, opened the cage door. You ever been in one of these? The kid shook his head. You scared? A pause. Then a soft, yeah. Tyrell stepped aside. Good. That means it matters. The kid looked up. Can I try? Tyrell nodded. Only if you promise to listen more than you hit. Inside the cage, the boy moved awkwardly. Tyrell guided gently. Foot placement. Breathing. Loosen your shoulders. Fear makes you tighten. Trust makes you flow. The words weren't rehearsed. They just came. And, for the first time, he believed them as he said them. Later, after everyone left, Tyrell stayed behind. Cleaned up. Turned off the lights. Just before locking the door, he walked over to the far wall. There, tucked between a poster and a dusty trophy shelf, was a photo. Someone had pinned it up without saying anything. It was blurry, black and white, but the image was clear. 2 men in a cage, one standing, one sitting. No fists raised, just a hand extended. No names, just a moment. Underneath it, someone had written in marker, "The quiet doesn't mean weakness. It means focus." Tyrell didn't know who wrote it, but he smiled anyway, because this wasn't just a gym anymore. It was a legacy, and it didn't belong to him, or to Conor. It belonged to anyone willing to stop performing and start becoming. Outside, the night was cool, quiet. Tyrell stepped out, locked the door behind him. No crowd, no phone, no posts, just the sound of his footsteps on the sidewalk. And, in the distance, a car drove by playing the same type of music he used to blast from his own ride. He smiled again, didn't judge it, just let it pass, and kept walking. Sometimes the loudest thing a man can do is walk away without needing to be followed.